Destroyers are fast, maneuverable, long-endurance warships that are used to escort and defend larger vessels such as carriers belonging to a convoy or battle group. In World War II, destroyers had radar and anti-aircraft guns to help in their escort role, where they would go in before the rest of the fleet and destroy powerful short-range attackers, clearing the way for the heavier armed, slower-moving Goliath battleships. Not only could these destroyers take out aircraft, but they could use their torpedoes and guns against other ships. But now, there are destroyers that are unlike anything you've ever seen before, with super advanced weapon systems and strange designs. This naval vessel is the result of a research and development program called SC-21, or Surface Combatant for the 21st Century, which began back in 1994. Named after Elmo Russell Bud Zumwalt Jr., former Chief of Naval Operations during the Vietnam War, the USS Zumwalt DDG-1000 is one of just 3 United States Navy-guided missile stealth destroyers which are now being outfitted to carry out anti-submarine, anti-air, and anti-surface operations by launching deadly guided missiles towards their targets. But the interesting thing about this ship is that it was never intended to be a ship killer when it was first envisioned. The SC-21 program's mission was to design land attack ships for the United States Navy, which produced a wide variety of designs, including something called the Arsenal ship, that was nothing more than a floating missile silo base that could be armed with 500 cruise missiles. Eventually a 16,000-ton tumble-home hull, where the sides of the ship slope inward rather than outward, or at a straight vertical angle, was chosen. The original design had 2 long-range 155mm guns and 128 missile tubes. It was designated DD-21, the destroyer for the 21st century. The Zumwalt-class destroyer was preceded by the Arleigh Burke class, which is a lot smaller than the Zumwalt. In fact, these destroyers are much larger than any other active destroyer or cruiser and weigh 15,742 long tons, almost twice the weight of an Arleigh Burke class destroyer, and about 100 feet longer, with a length of 610 feet, a beam of 80.7 feet, and a draft of 27.6 feet. These destroyers are not only big, but have huge costs of $4.24 billion each. The Zumwalt was built around the large twin advanced gun system 155mm howitzers and the artillery shells it would fire, called the long-range land attack projectile. This would have been used to offer naval gunfire support to Marines and other ground forces on the enemy shore. But when it was determined that each round would cost more than $800,000, it was time to look at an alternative. The 2 150mm howitzers could be replaced with Mk-41 vertical launch systems that can hold a single missile, such as the Long-Range Anti-Ship Missile, or LRASMs. Removing these 2 guns could free up enough room for 200 Mk-41s, which would result in more silo-based firepower than even an Ohio-class guided missile submarine. Lasers, railguns, and stealth. That's what the future of the Zumwalt-class destroyer is all about. The USS Zumwalt DDG-1000 has a radar cross-section similar to that of a fishing boat, despite the ship's large size, and it could lead an assault or help launch a broader attack using its ability to strike while avoiding detection. This guided missile destroyer could test or penetrate blue water enemy defenses without surrendering the location of the carrier group. When it comes to the question of fitting the Zumwalt with railguns or laser weapons, it could very well become a possibility, as the ship's integrated power system, powered by 2 Rolls-Royce RR4500 turbine generators, putting out 3.8 megawatts each, is an impactful, mobile power source that continues to evolve and is perfect for the integration of more powerful modern laser weapons. The US Navy is now considering arming the Zumwalt destroyers with hypervelocity railgun rounds to fix the problem of no ammo for the 155mm advanced gun systems. The Navy recently fired hypervelocity projectiles, or HVPs, which are special rounds that were initially designed for electromagnetic railguns out of Mk-45 5-inch deck guns aboard the Arleigh Burke class destroyer. One of the big advantages of the Zumwalt is its shallow draft, where it can access shallow water ports inaccessible to deeper draft vessels, allowing it to sneak up on and pound enemy land targets with Tomahawk cruise missiles in preparation for an amphibious assault, while using its advanced onboard sensors to connect with drones and other ISR assets. Operating entirely as a lone wolf, but fully networked into the US Navy's battle network, a Zumwalt could be sent to hunt down and destroy enemy ships. The Zumwalt can locate and track an enemy task group by proxy, setting up ambush without even turning on its radar, and sending out drones of its own. The combination of its stealth and stealthy anti-ship missiles, guided by artificial intelligence, would make it a formidable adversary. So what would happen if you put a 2020 edition of USS Zumwalt against the 1991 version of the USS Wisconsin battleship BB-64? First, let's talk about the 16-inch Mark VII guns on the USS Wisconsin, which is the Iowa class's main armament. The guns were 50 calibers long, or 50 times their 16-inch bore diameter, with 66.6-foot-long barrels. Each one of these guns weighs 267,900 pounds, with the breech, and can fire projectiles weighing 1,900 to 2,700 pounds at a speed of 2,690 feet per second, and a range of 24 miles. That said, this ship can fire a 9-inch broadside, sending 18 tons of steel and explosives speeding towards their target. Each turret requires a crew of 79 men to operate, and the guns are so powerful that the muzzle blasts cause adjacent shells from other guns to deviate course, so rapid firing in succession was devised. Those big guns are incredibly awesome, but there's one thing that the Iowa-class battleships had that would terrify an enemy even more. Most people don't know that at least 3 of the ships had an alteration made to turret 2 magazines to incorporate a secure storage area for W-23 nuclear shells, which consisted of a 15 to 20 kiloton nuclear warhead installed inside of a Mark 13 shell body. That's right, this ship could fire nuclear shells at its target, and the storage area could hold 10 nuclear shells plus 9 Mark 24 practice shells. This made the Iowa-class battleship's 16-inch guns the world's largest nuclear artillery and the only US Navy ships to have nuclear shells. Although these were developed for exclusive use by the battleship's guns, and only 50 were ever produced, it's not known if any of the battleships actually carried the shells while in active service, as the United States Navy refuses to confirm or deny the presence of nuclear weapons aboard their ships. The sheer size of the Iowa-class battleship, compared to the smaller destroyer and its incredibly strong armor, would mean that the Zumwalt would have to hit the battleship many times in order to bring it down. Both ships would attack each other with missiles, and assuming that neither ship is receiving any outside assistance, the result of this first encounter will depend on how each ship identifies and targets its opponent. But let's just say that both ships used their comparable helicopters or drones to identify each other at roughly the same time at a range of 200 nautical miles. The Zumwalt has a lot of missiles to strike with its 80 vertical launch system cells. Some of those will be filled with Tomahawk cruise missiles, along with evolved Sea Sparrow missiles for defense. Those Tomahawks the Zumwalt carries are Block 4 that can be retargeted in flight toward the moving ships at sea, which gives the destroyer a huge advantage. The Wisconsin lacks sufficient anti-aircraft weapons to knock down the Zumwalt's MQ-8C Fire Scout drone helicopter, and it's likely that most of these missiles would effectively hit their target. The USS Wisconsin could retaliate, of course, and was upgraded with some of the most advanced weaponry available, including 4 Mk-141 quad-cell launchers for 16 Harpoon anti-ship missiles, 8 armored box launcher mounts for 32 BGM-109 Tomahawk missiles, and CIWS close-in weapon system 20mm Gatling guns for defense against anti-ship missiles and enemy aircraft. But the big problem for the Wisconsin would be targeting the destroyer. Don't forget that low radar cross-section the Zumwalt has, and that it would have at least 40 VLS cells with evolved Sea Sparrows, and could destroy every incoming Tomahawk and still have a few left over. However, the Zumwalt was not designed to survive hits from cruise missiles, and even a single hit has the potential to disable or even sink the warship. If that fails, the Wisconsin could get into visual striking distance and use the 9 16-inch 50 caliber guns to quickly disable or completely obliterate the stealth destroyer. It sounds like the big battleship would be the winner, if only it could get into firing position quick enough. If those 155mm advanced gun systems turrets were loaded with railgun rounds, the Zumwalt could return fire at a range of 80 nautical miles. But the Wisconsin was built to withstand hits from 16-inch 45 caliber guns, and it would take many of the 6-inch shells to damage the heavily armored ship. Regardless, the sheer number of hits would leave the battleship's upper works devastated and in flames. It looks like the Zumwalt wins this battle if it's not hit by a Tomahawk or Harpoon, and the USS Wisconsin would likely survive the onslaught even in battered condition. Despite all the setbacks that the Zumwalt destroyer has had, the Navy says the ship is doing fine and should become fully operational by 2021. The 3 Zumwalts aren't the only destroyers in service, and at any time they can call on their predecessors, the Arleigh-Burke-class guided missile destroyers, which are armed with the Aegis missile system, and has 96 modular vertical launch silos that can carry either the Tomahawk cruise missile, ASROC anti-submarine missile, or any variety of standard RIM anti-air missiles. It also has one 5-inch Mk45 gun, 1 or 2 20mm PHALANX CIWS, 2 25mm M242 Bushmasters, and 2 triple Mark 32 torpedo tubes. Finally, it carries a complement of 2 SH-60 Seahawk helicopters with LAMPS 3 light airborne multipurpose system. The Arleigh-Burke-class destroyers are equipped with the Aegis combat system, which integrates the ship's sensors and weapon systems to engage anti-ship missile threats. These 2 destroyers working together could bring incredible devastation to any threat, land, sea, or air. So now you've seen these warships, what do you think? Who has the best warships in the world? Let us know. If you liked the video, please click subscribe and turn on notifications, and we'll let you know when a new video comes out. Thanks for watching.